Natasha, but I'm going to turn the conversation over to you for a second. And I'm curious about at what point in your career you started intersecting multimedia and video with your work, because I feel like that's kind of where your innovative contribution is to the conversation. I think Will brings a lot in terms of his content, his storytelling, and I'm interested in examining your work and how you use projections and video to intersect the story you're telling. And at what point in your career you decided to embark on that path as opposed to a more, I guess, conventional theater path?
I think I started playing around with projections 10 years ago. That's when it all began for me. And it began because the things that I was seeing in my head and my imagination was just so vivid. And there was no other way to interpret and share that experience other than by the use of multimedia and using projection. And so that's...
How do you source the material that how do you source what you decide to show, and in terms of, choosing the kind of story you want to tell, because I think typically you get, for the majority of theater makers, you have a play, you have a script, you have a kind of blueprint. And I think seeing what I saw, most of your content was sourced or sampled, and I didn't see any, text, I guess, in performance in the traditional sense. Right. And so how do you decide? Is it just a sampling? You go out there and you look, and you...
Oh, it depends. This piece, for example, is all it's all sampled. It's all recycled. It was created for environmental art fair, and so the costume is recycled paper. The videos have been recycled through the web. This was the whole just concept overall. But not all of so generally my work consists of original video, original animation. I love using popular culture and using what grabs you, like the sounds that move people today. And I think we're so used to now, we expect a certain definition, a visual definition, an audio definition. And I feel like the traditional theater does not do that for me. And this is why using all of this audiovisual qualities and in order to tell the story and transport, the audience is fascinating.
And what kind of audience do you look to reach when you make your work? Am I still on? Sorry,
You're
my
on.
hair's covering my microphone. And when you make your work, is there a particular target audience you're looking to bring into the conversations you're trying to start with your work?
No, I don't know. I find this word really horrible. It's
Audience?
like a target audience.
Okay,
that would, why would I have a target audience?
Right.
So I think that if the work is meaningful and profound, and it should be just as entertaining and diverting and wow, and so it should touch the kids. The kids should be able to get it. So the older people, any race, you should be able to tour this anywhere and have a universality about it.
Very cool. What are some of the challenges you face in working with tech? I think technology is one of the big topics in this year's conference because of social media, Twitter. I think we've all had that nightmare of, oh, the video went down. But aside from the generic complications of working with video and technology, are there any particular challenges you find in constructing the work that you make and dealing with this interfacing of live media or the live body in intersection with the media?
The challenges? Actually, I find the technology sometimes more reliable than the people.
How so? I'm curious, how so?
I think the challenge is always finding people who will not disappear, who will finish the work, and then who will do good work. That's the main challenge. And finding people who understand and who get the vision. Mm-hmm. Who are not afraid of saying, "Wow, yes," and "What if that?"
And does the performance feel? Because one of the things we do in the theaters, we talk about how, in this relationship from actor to actor, the live performance feels spontaneous every night, And I think a question I have for you, as a performer who intersects with a very reliable piece of media every night, how do you keep it alive and new and fresh every time you do the show?
there's a challenge in the precision, and you can never be precise enough, and so the more you go into each moment, the more you realize you can layer it with subtleties that perhaps your audience may not get right away, but to you that's the way to stimulate yourself so that it doesn't get automated. At the same time, the idea right now, for me at least, is to start, step away from just pure projection and use a lot of motion tracking, and so that there's a fluidity and spontaneity that's possible.
Great. I think at this point we want to open it up to everybody in the house who wants to have a question, who has a question for Will or Natasha. I think we have microphones roaming